In this satellite view of Earth, the movement of these massive cloud formations is dictated by a temperature shift in a single ocean, setting the weather patterns for the entire globe. That specific location is the equatorial Pacific Ocean. It possesses an immense thermal capacity, absorbing solar radiation across thousands of miles of open water. The mechanism managing this energy is the El Niño Southern Oscillation, or ENSO. It operates as a continuous, massive climatic engine that oscillates between two distinct phases. In the early 17th century, Latin American fishermen identified periodic warming events in their coastal waters that depleted their fish stocks. They named this warm phase El Niño. While the names translate to the boy and the girl, modern meteorology defines El Niño and La Niña by their physical parameters. They are profound temperature anomalies centered in the waters of the eastern and central Pacific Ocean. To predict global weather extremes, most notably the success or failure of the Indian monsoon, we have to deconstruct the reciprocal feedback loop between Pacific Ocean currents and atmospheric winds. When the ENSO cycle swings into its warming phase, it disrupts atmospheric circulation, shutting down vital rain systems thousands of miles away. For the Indian subcontinent, this geographic teleconnection causes severe agricultural drought. The lack of seasonal rain leaves crops to wither and the earth to fracture. Conversely, the opposite cooling phase in the Pacific triggers the inverse effect, pumping excessive moisture into the atmosphere and increasing the strength of the monsoon. The consequence is urban and rural flooding. Vital infrastructure is submerged when the monsoon system receives this surge of moisture from the Pacific. These contrasting disasters are direct, predictable symptoms of the Pacific Ocean's thermal pendulum. This 3D cross-section shows the equatorial Pacific, with the atmosphere above and ocean below, between Asia and South America. The primary driver is the easterly trade winds, flowing consistently from east to west. This wind stress pushes sun-heated surface water westward, piling it into a massive warm pool near Indonesia. Consequently, cold, nutrient-rich water upwells from the deep ocean off Latin America to replace it. This creates the thermocline, the tilted boundary layer separating warm surface and cold deep water. Above, this establishes the Walker circulation. Warm air rises over the western pool, causing rain, and descends eastward, creating dry high pressure. This normal phase is a self-sustaining loop. Western warmth and eastern upwelling are held in place by the physical force of the trade winds. An El Niño event triggers when these easterly trade winds undergo a significant weakening. Without wind stress holding it back, the massive western warm pool sloshes backward, migrating towards Central and South America. Beneath the surface, the returning warm water forces a flattening of the thermocline, suppressing cold upwelling off the Latin American coast. Because the warmest water moved, the Walker circulation's rising convection column shifts eastward. This leaves the Western Pacific starved of its normal moisture. Australia and Indonesia are trapped under descending high pressure, leading to dry spells. El Niño represents a systemic collapse of pressure gradients, shifting the ocean's heat and the atmosphere's rain out of their baseline positions. La Niña acts as the opposite anomaly. It is triggered when the easterly trade winds blow with heightened intensity. A hyper-concentrated accumulation of warm water is pushed and trapped against the extreme West Pacific. In response, the Eastern Pacific experiences intense cold upwelling off South America, steepening the thermocline to a dramatic angle. Consequently, the Walker circulation shifts into overdrive, generating concentrated rainfall over the extreme West Pacific. Because the convective moisture is localized in the far west, drought conditions are left behind in the Eastern Pacific and across the Americas. La Niña functions as a significant intensification of the baseline Pacific state. This illustrates teleconnections, how a shift in the Walker circulation acts as a mechanical link altering adjacent atmospheric cells globally. During El Niño, this circulation forces a descending column of high-pressure air directly over the Indian subcontinent. This high-pressure cap acts as an invisible wall. It suppresses moist winds off the Indian Ocean, preventing them from rising and halting the monsoon. Conversely, La Niña reverses this effect, creating a vacuum that draws low-pressure, upward atmospheric motion over India. This vacuum acts as an engine, drawing oceanic moisture and increasing the Indian monsoon's strength. These invisible mechanics dictate the agricultural and economic realities for billions of people, depending on that seasonal rain. The ENSO cycle is a continuous, coupled oscillation of thermal energy across the Pacific that directs the movement of global atmospheric circulation.